Welcome. My name is Carolyn Bierke, and I'd like to welcome you to this practice of UU Wellspring. I've been involved in Wellspring for about 5 years as a facilitator, a participant, and a board member. And I'm passionate about the spiritual deepening that Wellspring offers. I'm also the music director at the Unitarian Church in Ventura, California, and a seminary student.
And I'm Reverend Kelly Dignan, and I too have been involved with Wellspring as a participant and have been on the board and just finished a term as treasurer. I am passionate about this particular program for spiritual deepening for Unitarian Universalists. I'm also the co-director of UU Ministry for Earth, and I'm happy to be here today as a part of Wellspring. So UU Wellspring is a program, actually it's a bunch of different programs that allow UUs to do a deep dive into their spiritual lives. And we have short programs that are like 6 sessions, and then we have a series of longer programs. All of them include a couple of key components. One is small groups. You gather in small groups on a regular basis to deepen relationships with fellow UUs. Another is spiritual practice. Each of us in the group experiment with different practices and hope to find one that really works for us for the long term. We have reflections, usually pre-assigned homework and readings. And during the sessions, then we have time to reflect on the readings and the questions that have been posed. And each session offers an opportunity to ask, so what? In other words, what do we do with what we've just learned and experienced? So our hope is that by gathering in community and developing these practices together, we're committing to change and improving how we show up in our communities.
Hello, I am Linnea Nelson. I'm the Executive Director of UU Wellspring, and I would also like to welcome you here today. I would like to give you a little bit of background about UU Wellspring because you probably heard about how it's transformational, and I'd like to share how our sessions look so that you can have an opportunity to see how we get there. We start with a chalice lighting. But we also have a time of silence because we know whether you're meeting on Zoom or you're meeting in person, you're leading a busy life. You've come from some other experience, and we really want to gather together as a community. So this time of silence, perhaps with music, allows us to bring our whole selves to the group. We then do a check-in, which allows everyone to share how their spiritual practice is going, how their work with a spiritual companion is going, and perhaps what they're carrying in their hearts. And this, as you can see, is a different kind of check-in than we usually do, where we kind of say, oh, it's been a busy day, had a lot going on. Now we're getting right into what's most meaningful to us and how we're supporting our spiritual lives. We then have an opportunity for people to share their spiritual practices. We have a covenant that we develop together that is a pretty long process. It's a whole session long. And the reason that we do this is we really want to use a covenant to explore how we want to feel when we're together, what our expectations are, how we want to be in a group that is going to extend for a year's time. What's important to us? And we also ask you to add Parker Palmer's words, no fixing, no saving, no setting each other straight. And right there, that can help to provide a brave space for all of us to speak our truths. We also take the time when we are building our covenant to make sure that we are having a way to stop or pause when harm occurs. And we teach everyone how to do this so that you can use it not only in a UU Wellspring group, but other places in your life as well. We also share, as I mentioned, spiritual practices, and then we go into a group reflection. And this group reflection is based on questions that you've gotten in advance and some readings, perhaps a video or two of a sermon or of someone speaking, an experience, some music, some poetry. And then we ask for your reflections. So when you come into a UU Wellspring session, you have already done some thinking about your own spiritual life, your own identity as a Unitarian Universalist, each of the concepts that the session is presenting. So you come in with a full heart and ready to share with the group. And during this sharing, we have deep listening where we are truly taking the time to be fully present, to witness for each other as our own spiritual lives develop in community, which is different from doing it completely on your own. Then we ask this question, so what? Which is not a tongue-in-cheek sort of question. It is a question meant to say all of this discussion that we've had and maybe come from our heads, maybe moved into our heart, but how are we going to put it into practice? What is going to change in our lives? Is it how we are, what we do, what we believe, which then fuels how we are in the world? And we express this out loud to the group, which allows us to hold ourselves accountable to the group and to ourselves so that change does occur. And this is where the transformation occurs. We then have a closing circle where we share our appreciation and gratitude for one another.
People find a year in UU Wellspring transformative, and today we will be using some of these meaning-making components in our session. The core spokes of UU Wellspring that we will be using today include small group ministry, deep listening, understanding our UU theology, and bringing our faith out into the world. The fifth spoke of UU Wellspring is spiritual companionship, which is done outside of the group time, so we will not be including that today. However, you can visit the Unitarian Universalist Spiritual Direction Network to learn more about spiritual direction. We hope that you have come with a discussion partner or two, as this workshop, like all of UU Wellspring, is done in community. So let's get started. We will start with our chalice lighting. I invite you to light a chalice wherever you are as I read the words by the Reverend Leslie Takahashi. On the brink. All that we have ever loved and all that we have ever been stands with us on the brink of all that we aspire to create. A deeper peace, a larger love, a more embracing hope, a greater generosity of spirit, and a deeper joy in this life we share. The next component of a UU Wellspring session is a spiritual practice. So I invite you to find a comfortable seated position. And next, take a deep breath in through your nose and slowly release it through your mouth, releasing any stress or tension that you've been holding inside. Let's do that 2 more times. Allow yourself to become fully present in this moment. Now we will move into the spiritual practice called Lectio Divina. This ancient contemplative practice involves reading a sacred text and allowing its words to speak to you on a deep level. For today's practice, we will be using the lyrics of a song, Loosen, Loosen by Ali Halpert. First, as I read the lyrics, listen and allow the words to resonate within you. Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Holy breath and holy name. Will you ease this pain? Now, as I read it again, listen to the words and notice any images or emotions that come up for you. Allow them to be simply present without judgment or attachment. Take note of a phrase or a word that you resonate with. Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Holy breath and holy name. Will you ease this pain? And I will read the words one more time. Listen to them with your eyes closed. Notice what is different and what comes up for you as these words sink in. Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Holy breath and holy name. Will you ease this pain? And now we will ground the words in our bodies with song. I will sing the song, and when you're ready, please join in. We will sing it together 3 times, allowing the words to sink deeply into our hearts and minds. As we sing, feel free to sway or gently tap or touch the parts of your body that feel tense or tight, allowing them to release and relax. The words will sink in a different way with the music than just hearing them. And after we sing, we will sit for a minute in the sweet silence, and I will ring the bowl at the end. It goes like this. Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Holy breath and holy name. Will you ease this pain? Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't need to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Holy breath and holy name. Will you ease this pain? Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't need to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Let go, let go, let go. Let go, let go, let go. Let go, let go, let go.
I feel looser, that's for sure. Thank you, Carolyn. Thank all of you for participating in that spiritual practice. So we're going to move into the time where in a Wellspring session, you would have done some reading and there would be some prompts for discussion, but we didn't send out homework since this is an on-demand program. So I'm just going to give a little overview of the topic that we presented for today, which is all that you touch, you change, and all that you change changes you. So backing up before we get into that specific quote and reading, we mentioned before that UU Wellspring's sort of core program is called The Sources, and that we really focus on the 6 sources of Unitarian Universalism. Well, one of those sources is the Jewish and Christian teachings, which call us to respond to God's love by loving our neighbors as ourselves. Since Unitarians and Universalists come out of a Christian and Jewish tradition, Jewish first, then Christian tradition, this is an important source for us. It's one source of inspiration, but it's an important one. And covering it can kind of be tricky business because most UUs don't believe in a traditional patriarchal controlling God. So what's interesting is that there are a variety of views of God that are different from those traditional monotheistic perspectives, and one of them is called process theology. UU Wellspring in the Sources program does a session on process theology, not to convince anyone to believe something or to encourage people to adopt that as their primary meaning-making system, but more to provide an option to understanding God in a new way, and also to understanding that source of ours, the teachings of Jewish and Christians that lead us to respond to God's love. So that's what we're going to do today, is give you a little snippet of process theology. It is based on the idea that everything that exists, even God, is in an eternal process of growing and becoming. Everything is always changing, even God. Now, when we saw the theme for GA and that it was fully becoming, we thought, well, that's the main premise of process theology. We better do a session on that. So that's what we decided to do. Now, what's interesting is that process theology was really influenced by a few guys who traveled in Universalist and Unitarian circles: Alfred North Whitehead, Charles Hartshorne, and Henry Nelson Wyman. And I won't give you a whole history lesson, although I find it fascinating. The bottom line is that the 3 of those guys were on a quest to find a God who was intellectually tenable and in tune with the modern world. So that's what they did with what is now called process thought or process theology. So it's, again, based on the idea that everything is always changing, growing, and becoming. It's also based on the idea that God is not all powerful. God's not omnipotent. It also is based on the idea that God's not omniscient, all-knowing, predicting the future. God is not manipulating or intervening in anything, and there is no God's will. Instead, individuals, humans, and I would even go so far as to say all creatures, because eventually process thought became very naturalistic. Religious naturalism process thought is one form of that. Everything, humans, every living thing has agency, creative agency. Nothing's predetermined, and God is changing along with the whole universe. Oh, by the way, God is not a human. It's an energy of love, beauty, and harmony. God's not outside or transcendent. Rather, God is immanent inside of everything, animating all life. And God is working in all things to make a better future. However, nothing happens, nothing changes without struggle. And in process theology, God struggles with us. God is omnipathic, is the term I heard in seminary. God feels with us, suffers with us. Now, process theologians also believe that everything in the universe is connected, not only always changing, but connected, and that everything affects everything else. Now, that sounds familiar, right? That's our seventh principle. We're all one part of an interdependent web of life. And as Unitarian Universalists, we know that our actions have consequences. When we harm the environment, we harm ourselves. When we harm other people, we harm ourselves. The interconnectedness of all is a reminder that we have a responsibility to care for the world around us, the whole living earth community. We have a responsibility to care for other people. And this interconnectedness is a reminder that we are all on a journey. We're all on a journey to grow and change and learn and create a better world. And in accordance with process theology, God, even with a lowercase g, not a capital G, is with us on the journey. God is love, holding us, working with us. Now, if every event and every action affects everything else, that means everything we touch, we change. And everything we change changes us. Those words are from author Octavia Butler in her Parable series of novels. Those two books, Parable of the Sower and Parable of the Talents, were written in 1993 and 98, respectively, and are set in a post-apocalyptic Earth, heavily affected by climate change and social inequality. Now, just guess the date of this post-apocalyptic scenario. 2024. That's next year. I read these books ages ago. So here we are, 2024. The novels follow the lead character, Lauren Olamina, who's a young woman who can feel the pain of others. She's very empathic. We might say highly sensitive today. And she becomes displaced from her home. Displacement, we know that's happening in the middle of our climate crisis. So several characters from various walks of life join Lauren on her journey, and she becomes the founder of a new religion that she calls Earthseed. And the main tenets of Earthseed are that God is change. And believers can actually shape God through conscious efforts to influence the changes around them. Okay, so was she writing about process theology? Because it sounds exactly like it. I did a little research, and yes, Butler was influenced by process theology in her conception of God, for sure, but she was also influenced by Taoism, humanism, and environmentalism. So these books are great. If you haven't read them, highly recommend. In an interview, Octavia Butler told a story about a question that she got at a book signing. So a youngish student asked her if she had an answer to all the problems of the world. And she responded, "There's no single answer that will solve all of our future problems. There's no magic bullet. Instead, there are thousands of answers at least. But here is the thing. You can be one of them if you choose to be." In process theology, each of us has a role in creating solutions. Each of us has a role in creating collective liberation. And in process theology, God works in us, through us, and supporting us. In process theology, we are not alone. We have partners, and we can create change.
Thank you, Kelly. Here at GA this year, we're exploring liberating theologies and how they can offer hope, resilience, and courage for these times. Process theology is liberating because it calls for co-creation and collective liberation, and it reminds us that there is a love holding us and working with us. We would like to invite you into a discussion with others who are present with you. In Wellspring, we use deep listening as a tool in our process, but how does it work? The soul is shy, and the inner teacher needs a chance to speak and be heard. And so when you turn to your partners or others watching this program to use deep listening, there's a couple things to keep in mind. One is listen without an agenda, without trying to think of what you're going to say next. Just be present and hear what that person has to say without responding, just letting them share their heart and their soul, and they will do the same for you. So, our first two questions are: what are your thoughts and feelings about process theology? And describe a time when you changed something and were changed by it. Pause your video and come back when you're ready.
So now we are at the part in our Wellspring program where we ask that question, so what? We've been learning and conversing and reflecting together. And so what do we do with that information? And so we're going to ask a couple more questions for you to reflect on. And they're more about action and how to make change in the world. So I'm going to read 3 different questions. You can reflect on these by yourself and then share with whoever's with you, or you can just share out loud, and you can pause in between each question if you'd like. The first question is, list at least one small change you can make after today sometime, one thing you can touch, one little tiny thing that could make a difference in our world. The second question is related to the proposed Article 2, the 8th principle in particular. How might the proposed Article 2 inform change or changes that you might make in the world? The third so what question is this. Think about or reflect on at least one way in which the changes of the proposed Article 2 will change you. So before we asked, how would Article 2 move you to make a change in the world? Now, how will Article 2 change you? So you have had the chance now to experience a Wellspring session, and we hope that it gave you a little idea of how they go, and we hope it was inspiring in some way, and that you remember that all that you touch, the tiniest little thing that you touch, changes things, and change things change you.
And I extinguish the chalice, and I invite you to carry the peace and openness that you have cultivated within you throughout the rest of your day. Blessed be.
Hi, this is Linnea again. I wanted to just give you a little bit of information about how the groups look in UU Wellspring. They're usually 8 to 10 participants. You can have 1 to 2 facilitators. They prepare pretty much in the same way that the participants do. Our sources, first year program is 10 months long, twice a month for most programs. We also have some 3-month programs, which are our shorter programs. We hope you'll also visit our website uuwellspring.org, or you can contact me directly at director@uuwellspring.org, and we can talk about how you would get your congregation involved in UU Wellspring and have this transformational opportunity for many more people. You can also attend an info session on the second Tuesday of every month. The sign up for that is at the top of our website. And I really just give an overview of our program at that point and answer any of your questions. I hope that you will have found today to be an opportunity to learn a little bit about process theology, but more importantly, find a way to transform your own life by looking at what you change and how it changes you. So you can continue to transform yourself and your congregation with our many UU Wellspring programs. I look forward to hearing from you. Have a great GA.